Hi, welcome back to another lesson on React.js. So far, we have been building a solution called Portfolio Application in React, and we have discussed some basic functionalities of React in the course of this study from lesson 1 up till this moment. Now, we want to look at some other things that we need to look into in React. This is our application, a portfolio app, where we have uh, the home, about us, education, experience, skills. What we did in the last lesson was to separate individual components in our render. That is, as we display, we are not displaying everything as a one page anymore. We are displaying each component on our page. If you go to about now, you see the about us, and then we make sure that the header and the footer persist across all the components as we render. So today we're going to look at contacts. Contacts. As a portfolio app, if you want people to contact you, apart from putting your details on about us, where you put your name, your phone numbers, emails, social media handles, and icons, then you may need to put a form where they fill and reach out to you on. Maybe they want to send a message or they want to contact you for something. They should be able to do that on your application free of charge. So with this, we are going to look at how to create a contact page in this regard and see the implementation. Okay, so I'm going to start by creating the contact. So I'm still going to be using my components. Like I said, that we are going to be separating things by creating every component inside our component folder. So contact.js or the GSS. Now we can now create our contact function. But before we move on into this, there are some basic things we also need to learn that we're going to use in this contact. So let's quickly look at those things. Number one, state management. This is, we can say this is under React hook. React hooks. We've talked about props last time, but this one has to do with state management. What is a state management in React? A state management is to track the condition, the state of things or a value or variable in our application. Taking for instance, let's say I declare a variable. If I should say maybe constant name, constant name equal to Felix. And then later on, Felix is going to change maybe as an effect of an operation that occurs. Is going to be changing from Felix to another thing, maybe phonics. In this regard, we need to start monitoring what is happening to name. We need to start checking the state of name at a particular point that we are going to render that. So in this case, we're going to look at what a state management is. Then another thing we're also going to look at is use state. Under hooks, we have use state, we have use effect. Use effect allow us to perform a side effects in our component. Some example of side effects are like fetching of data, directly updating your document object model, and so on and so forth. Let me put the use of state into demonstration by creating a something like a counter, for instance, a counter that we can use to update state. Taking for instance, if I should come right here, create a new file, let me call it counter, and counter will do what? We're going to have a function Oh, it's not a JavaScript file. I wonder why it's not giving me some suggestions and all that. So let me rename that and put .gx. Okay, so now we have it. So let me create a function counter, as the name is. This, then my function, don't forget, it's going to return. That is the syntax. It's going to return a JSX something. All right, let's leave it like that. Now, possibly we know that for this not to show error, we need to make sure at least the first one is div or a fragment. All right, so it's not showing error anymore. Now, how do we create state? To create state, we are going to import from React use state. So that is what will take me up right here and say import React, comma, then I want to import some other objects and come here and say use state, right? Then from React, with that we have been able to import our state. Now how do we use state? If you want to use state in this regard, you will say constant. Now it takes two arguments. You can say constant, let me say count. You want to start counting, probably counting of numbers, and then that's a variable count, and then it's going to say, take what? It's going to have another function right here that will say set count. Remember, count is variable. Then it's going to have what? Function count that will be what? Equal to use state that we brought up there as a function. So this use state, initially it will have a value. So if we want it to be 0, we put 0 there. If you want it to have any number, you can put any number, maybe 2, or you put what? Right there, you put true or false, as the case may be. All right, so that is what our, so initially count is going to be 0, and if we check this, we can now come here and say here we're going to have maybe h1, that's we say count is put into bracket our count. For now, if we should run this, if you want to test this, we can just quickly test it inside our app right here. We can bypass the app by going to the index.js. Rather than calling the app, we can just comment the app and call only the counter. So here you can just say import, or even if I just come down here and call counter, it is possible. It gives me the import automatically. Let's see, that is not forthcoming. Okay, so let us import our counter then. So we're going to say import counter. Oh, it has not been exported. That is why. Let me go back to where we are coming from. If possible, the probability that it may to export that. So say export default counter. Okay, now let me now go to the index once again and try that. If I go to the index and say counter, can we have that? Okay, that's it. You can see it. The importation is done automatically. It does import it for me automatically. So right here now, if I should come here and see, you can see count is 0 at this point. Now I may now decide to have maybe a button inside it that will update the count. I can say, okay, inside this before you return, let me create a button right here. Okay, let me first of all create a function. I can say, because this function is going to be inside another function, so it would be better if we create it as an arrow function. So therefore, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to say, okay, function change count is equal to an arrow function that is going to do what? What is this going to do? This is going to set count is a function that will be count was 1. I'm going to change the name of the function later, but at least let's leave it like this. Then what will now happen, there should be something that we call this function. What's going to call the function? I'm going to call a button, create a button rather, a button that will say click me. Then on click of the button, we're going to call our function. So we come here, see, on click, call what? Change count. Okay, we do this. Now let's see what we get. We come right here now to our browser, say click me. You can see that it's changing the state of our count as we click. So if we want to make this an application, we can actually make it an application by you can see go back to 0 when I reload because the state will be set back to the 0, and then when you click on this, it will go back to, it will start increasing it again. So if you don't want it to change back to 0 and things like that, we might use effect or use ref to maintain the state of the value before anytime a component refreshes and all that, or component update and all that. Okay, but let's move on and make it an application that can increase and decrease. So how do we do that? I'm going to change this one to increment. Okay, so that it will make it look like what it does. Increment. Then we have another function that will do what? Decrement. That will do decrement. That one will do decrement. Okay, and on decrement that should be what? Count -1. Then we're going to have two buttons right now. So this one is to increment. I'm going to copy this. So one will be here, one will be down. So that's okay. So now that I have this, so this we call increment, the one up we call increment, and then the one down we call decrement. So rather than saying click me, I can just say put this there, say plus, and then here it will be minus. Okay, now this is what our button looks like for now. Now let us check what is happening at this point. Okay, we have plus and minus. So if you say click plus, it's incrementing it, and we click minus, it's decrementing. You can see it's going to minus as we decrease. Okay, we're going to fix that, but yes, the two are working. Then we move everything to the center. So let's make use of Bootstrap now. So this button, I'm going to give it a class. See, class name. It's going to have btn primary. Then this one we have the class name btn danger. And everything should be at the center, or at least it should move, shift a bit. So we come here, give it a class name, and put it inside container so that it's going to shift it rather than hanging it at the edge of the page. Yeah, that's it. We can see. So we can increase, we can decrease. Our button are now showing colors. All right, now though we can do a kind of layout by making everything to be inside the row and then give it a certain columns and all that, so that rather than it to be like this. But what I just want us to achieve is that we can use this to create what is called a state. All right, so now if we, let's say, rather than we be the one to go, let's say you have gone far, you need to go back to 0, then you need something that should be like a reset, that will reset everything back to 0. So I'm going to create another function, or even it might not be a function. We can just create a button and pass the function into the button directly. But let me do it first with a function, and then we can now try it by passing it directly into the button we want to create. What is this one? Button what? Reset. Reset. And what will it do? Set count to be what? It's going to go back to its initial state, which is what? 0. And that's all. So on that, we can just create a button and put the button down here and call the reset button. That's it. Okay, so let's give this one warning rather than danger, or info. Okay, so it's not info, it should be warning, but yet. Okay, so now let's see what it is. That is it. Oh, we have it as is. So we're supposed to give it reset. That's the name of the button. Alright, so let's go there. Reset. We have count to be 15. Let me increase it further from 19, from 20. Reset back to 0. And then now this one that is going to minus. If you don't want it to go to minus, then you just kind to do a kind of trick. But before we do that, let's make this, rather than creating another function for this, we can just copy this here, the whole of this. Let me make it a single line rather than multiple line as it is, just like this. Okay, as it is like this function, we just copy. This is the whole of the function. So let me just copy this and say on click, then we call the function rather than calling reset function. I'm creating the function directly right here, so we don't need this anymore. Let me just comment it. We don't need this anymore. So we are putting the reset directly inside the button as a function. Okay, so that will still work. Let's see. We'll refresh, and then if I increment and click that, then it straight back to 0. Now for this that is going to minus, if you don't want that to happen, what we are going to do is that we're going to check that when on this decrement, we're going to check that when the count is less or equal, when you click, when it is now less or equal to 0, you should just put 0 there. Otherwise, then do this what we have here. So what are we going to do now? We're going to say, okay, count again. See, count less or equal to 0. So we're going to use, that's an if condition, but it's going to be in kind of expression. So count less or equal to 0. By putting question mark, you are making it an expression. This is a kind of if, but we call it expression. So if count less or equal to 0, then return 0. Return 0. Then you put semicolon. Otherwise, remove 1 from it. If it is not less than or equal to 0, then return, do this, count minus 1. That's what it means. And this is a condition checking count if is count less or equal to 0. This is an if condition. If count is less or equal to 0, this makes it a condition as an expression, then return what? 0. Otherwise, take count and remove 1 out of it. So now let's see what we have. If I should refresh this now, okay, everything is 0. So if you try to click minus, it's not going because it is already 0. But if we increment and click on it, it's going to decrement. So that is how you do something like a counter, and our reset will still be working. That's it. Okay, so that is that about decrement and increment and how to make use of state. Okay, so now let's continue with our contact page that we want to create. So now the first thing I want to do is that I want to make use of a library in React called email.js, so that when the page is designed, when our contact form is designed, when they fill the form, it will send the copy of whatever they fill on that form into our email. So the best way to achieve this is by using a package, email libraries. But the one that I want to use for the purpose of this class is email.js.com. Email.js.com. That is the one that I want to use. And how do you go about it? Just go to email.js.com and then register for free. You can see sign up for free. You can, if you love it, you can subscribe into their package. So I've already logged in. I've already signed in there. So what I just want you to know is that just sign up. Once you sign up, it will send, make sure you use an email that you can access, and then you go ahead and confirm the email. Once you do that, then the next thing is for you to sign in into your account. So I'm going to sign in. I've already created an account there. So I'm going to sign in, and then good, I have my emails. Now when you get to your dashboard like this, the first thing you do is that you create an email service. You will see add new service here. So you can pick any of these services that you like, but as for me, I use my Gmail to do that. So if you want to use any of these transactional services like SendyBlue, which they have changed name now. I think SendyBlue has changed name now. If you go to SendyBlue, you will see that the name has been changed to Brevo. That's good. Okay. So then you can use Mailgun, Mailjet, SendGrid, Postmark, Amazon Sales, and Mailtrap. Then you can make use of any of these our regular emails. All right. So once you create a service, you are going to get that service. So what you need for the sending of an email is what? Is the service ID. Then you create an email template. Now, whenever you want to create an email template, please take note of this. This part is very, very important. When you are creating an email template, when you click on that and click on create, what you are going to have is this presenting to you as a template, but you are going to make some modification. So what I am going to do is that my form is going to have the subject of it. When you receive the email, that's when someone fills your form, what you are going to see is I say new message from name. You can just put name. In my form, I'm going to have name as an input, so I will just put name there. Okay, then hello to name, and then you got a new message from then name. Okay, so let's leave that. Oh man, this guy is funny. Why is he changing things like this? So it has to be in a double bracket like this. Please don't make that mistake. Don't make that mistake. I don't know why he's changing things for me when I don't want it. So I type name there. Okay, then I have in my form, I'm going to have what is called body. I'm also going to have email. I'm going to have the name, the subject of the email. I'm going to have that, and then it's going to say best wages. Okay, so those are the things that I'm going to have. All right, then if you want to do a blank carbon copy, like as you are going to receive the email in your email box that you used to register, you should also get a blank carbon copy or copy of that email. If you are doing this in an organization and you need your boss to also have a copy of what you have, then you have to do this. If you want to allow attachment that they can attach something on your form and send through that, maybe you want to start receiving people's CV and all that, you can also do that here. Okay, so I'm not going into that. So that is that. Once you do that, then you click on save. You click on save. That will save your email. Then you will now get the email template ID right here. All right, so that is that about that. Then once you are done with this, now how do we now make use of the emails? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to their documentation. How do we go about this? So I will go back here, email.js.com, go to documentation. So the first thing I want to look out for is how to install. Though these are the things you can do with it. This is their documentation. You can see. So let me go to under SDK installation. But even you can see here, install email SDK on your website. So I'm going to come here and do that. Installation. How do we install? You install using npm install email.js/browser. You may leave this save out of it if you like. So I'm going to leave that out. I'll just do this only. Copy this and then go to my application. I want to create another terminal. So I'll click on this button. Then put the npm install email.js browser there. All right, that one to be installing. Then let's go on with the other things that we may need to do. Then it's saying the browser script. I'm not doing direct HTML, but what we are doing is React. But before you do that, how do you send email? To send email, you can see email send or email send form. You are going to be sending email from your phone. But let's see what is inside email send. Email send, you are just going to call the function email send, and then you put the service ID. You know, I said you first of all create service ID, the template ID. Templates parameters is these are your form inputs. Whatever they input into your form, this you just pass it as an object here, and then you are going to have a public key. If you go to your account, there will be a public key under your account. I think if you go to account settings, you see your public key right here. You see private key and things like that. So you copy the public key as well. All right, so now once you do all that, then you can go ahead and supply that if this is what you are doing. But then we have another one called images or send form. The same thing, you can use send form. So you use the same thing, you pass into the whichever way or whichever one you want to use depending on you. And then they have put a sample of how you go about that. You can do this with a raw JavaScript by doing this without even using any library or framework. So the documentation is there. Then if you now want to use React, so let's scroll down, you see examples. So if you want to do for Vue, Angular, you can do it, but let me go to React. Now this is it on React. You know, you already have all the parameters needed. You have the email ID, this is it, your service ID here, your template ID, your form input, and then your public key. So even if you look at it, this is an entire component created for you that you can just leverage on to work out. So I'm going to just copy this. You see, can it be copied directly with a click, or we need to copy? All right, so I'm going to copy this. Copy and make some adjustment to it when it gets into my system. So I'm going to go on. See, okay, copy. See, right? So now in my contact components, I'm going to put it there. So now, where is the function created? Okay, so this is it. Okay, they are exporting it immediately. So contact us. I'm making it contact us. Okay, so I may just say, oh, I don't want it to be contact us because I am using contacts. So I will just say contact. Okay, contact, export default contact. If I don't want to use the method, I can just remove the export here and go and do that down there. Okay, so because I want to use state here, let us use state to monitor the state of things as we are entering things into our form. So I'm going to do that by adding it here. Though this will work without any hassle, it's going to work. What you just need to do here is to put your service ID, template ID, and your public key. And how do we get all that? It's there right inside our account. I'm just going to come here and go to service. This is my service ID. Then I put it in my. So I need to tell you that this is for text purpose. If you are developing a real application, you might need to store all your keys in another file, and then you start calling process.env, then the name of the ID. You can create a .env file here and then import that into your project and start using it. So the template ID, but this is for a text purpose. There is a possibility that after this lesson I will come out and deactivate the account. Okay, so or change all these keys so that it may not work after this lesson anymore. Now the template ID, I'm going to go to template and copy the ID. Once you come here, go to settings, and then you see your ID here. Copy that. Then put the template ID right here. Now your public key. Come here, put my public key. I just go to here, accounts, public key. Okay. According to their documentation, the public key is actually optional. If you go to we are using send form, right? Public key, and if you check here the parameters, they were saying the public key is optional. So, but let's put it there. Then we're going to put the public key. Okay. So after doing this, now let us see, it has finished installing. Then let us see how it is working at first. Then we'll now start doing some adjustments and things like that. So let me go to our index.js at first, change things back to call app, connecting the counter. Then I will go to app.js and import the contact. So the contact is going to come after the about. That's where we're going to have our contact. So I'm going to put here and say /contact, then call the component contact. So we're going to do the importation of that automatically for me. You can see it has imported that. Okay, so now if you go to our application, okay, we need to put that in the navigation as well so that it will show right here. So I will go to nav bar and look for about us list item here, copy, paste, and change it to /contact. Then put here contact us. Okay, That's fine now. So let's go ahead and check our page. We have it, contact us. And then when we click on that, we get the form. You can see the form doesn't have anything. Now, let me text it out. If I say name, let me say name is, I don't want to use the same email. Let me remove this. That's the same email I used to register. So let me use another thing. Say this shoot, okay? Say hi. This is our new platform for mail services. Okay, if I click on send, then I may not know what is happening now, but if I should check my email, or even you can check through your email history, you will see what you have done. Okay, see, today, this is today, and this is the current time. So if I check what's the status of that email, there is no attachment. It's giving me information about things, and this is the email. You can see I get it. Moshood is coming from localhost. Moshood, hi, this is our new platform for email service. And you can see the status of the response is what? Okay. So these are all the things we are going to look out for in our application and know what response to give to users. In their documentation, they already put it there what the responses are. You can see the cell, this is the code, the result. You can log the response and see what is there, but I think they explain the response somewhere. If you go ahead and check their documentation, you will see what response you are expected to get. So it is either you get okay or you get something else. And you can see that one is showing okay. So if I should log into my email now, I will see the Alright, so you need to see the email in the mailbox. See it is empty here. Why it is not empty right here? But if you look at the parameters, you see that the user underscore name, user email message is what we have here, and that is not what we created when we were creating the template. So we need to match it with whatever we create in our template so that we can get the rightful message. So here, input type, let me say name. This one, name. We need to make sure that the name is this. Then this is the message, the text area. The text area is body. Then we will still need one more item, which will be subject of the email. So I'm going to copy this because these are the things we set in our template. So name, subject, and then we make these subjects. Those are the things we set in our templates. Let me go back to the template. You see, then it should get what? Get body as the message, name, subject, emails, and all that. So that is why it is empty right here. So now let's go back and do this to see what we are going to have. So I will go on and refresh this. We are going to change all these things, all these we're going to style and make it have some effect. At least let's do a walk around for now. So name, let me say name is Felix. Subject is the application is out this moment. Email is, and then what will be our message? Let me copy whatever here and add more text to it. Moment is take note. Take note. Okay, so now if I send this, no, there is no response or anything. But if I go ahead and check email history, then I get it. This is 159 now. Still today, you can see this is the second time we are sending it, and we get that. And let's see what we have now. This should be different from that other one. Here now you can see we have name, subject, email, and body. Now let us go ahead and check our inbox to see what we have. I think I need to refresh this. Okay, it has come. Then we have the message showing. You can see you got a new message for this, and then saying this is the message, and this is the email, this is the name, and the title of the email. Best wishes. All right, so that is that on how to make use of email sender. But now let us now style our form. Don't let us just make it like this, and then let us do some things. As you click on submit, what it should do, apart from putting this right here, then we need to do some things. When this is on the form, we can see on form we have on submit function, on submit, that is calling send email function, and this is the send email function. What is the send email doing? The send email, we get the form as E, and then we prevent default means do not reload the form. Let it just get the values and move on. Then we now send it to the email.js send form and passing all the parameters. Form current is what we are doing here. We pass our, we created a variable safe constant form. Useref is going to make is going to make it to return a mutable reference object. That is our form. It will just capture the content and return it like that without tampering with the data on it. It's going to make it a mutable one. So then it's going to pass those things into this and send it through the email.js. But let us see what is happening before you even send this. How do we grab the form inputs, and then how all these things, how do we now make this to look better? Since we are using Bootstrap, why can't we style it with our Bootstrap? So those are the things that I'll first of all do now. I'm going to style it. So what I'm going to do is that I'm going to, inside this one that is returning form, I'm going to create a session. A session that will wrap everything. Cut that and put the session after the form. Okay, what will the session have? The session, we have a class of container. Okay, if you have a class of container, and then we are going to be styling individual form elements. So here, our form, we can make use of bootstrap forms and see how we style bootstrap forms. So if you go to get bootstrap.com, so let me just put forms there automatically so that it will take us to forms in bootstrap. Well, yes, this is still, we go to the newer version, then you might now be searching in this regard, search for forms. Okay, so let's see, how do we style form? I think we are okay with this. So now, after the form, this is just to create a margin bottom, that. Then our label, what does it have? It has class of what? Form label. So let's add that at first. For the label, we have class name, form label, then the input has class form control. This, so let's copy this form control. So I'm going to go to the input, say class name, form control. Then after this one, we can just make individual elements to be inside a div as well. So let me say div here, create div, not closing it here, closing it after the input for the first item. So this is for this. So the same thing will happen for this. We're going to put a div here and then close the div after its input. Okay, create another div, close the div, right here, create another div for the test area, and close the div after the test area. Close the div. Okay, so for this one we can leave it as it is since others are inside div. Now for each one, each input will have class form control. So now here, class form control, this we have form label. Okay, same thing goes here, class form label, then class form control. The same thing will happen for this label, form label, then class form control. Okay, let's see that. Now here too, we're going to have this to be class form control. Let us see, what do they have here? Okay, they have this to be PTN. They also added PTN primary to it. Let's just do that. Apart from having this, yes, we can combine classes. say btn primary. Okay, now let's see what our form looks like now, and this is it. Very beautiful. Yeah. Okay, so now if we just want to reduce the size and things like that, you can do that. If you look at Bootstrap very well, you see how to do all those kind of a thing. But things we can just do is for this to be showing very well, we can just add a kind of background or something, or probably maybe a legend around everything. We can see legend. Let's see if it is allowed. We cut that and come and put that down here. It shouldn't be here actually. The legend should be around the entire elements. Even the submit button should be inside. Okay, so let's see. The legends is showing, but we don't see the border. Okay, so we can just possibly give it border, say class name, inside for border in a Bootstrap. Do we do border? Okay, so we can say border, and what is it going to be? It's going to be like this. Okay, so and then we can start having some things like color and all that. So okay, so here it is. We can say border primary, border. So let's look at which one do we need here. I think we'll like this first one, that's the border primary, or probably this one, which is okay, so let's move on with that. So just add that here, and then let's see what our form has like that. Okay, so that's it. So that we at least enclose it in so now that is number one. The next thing we want to do is that as we enter something into the form, we want to see how React will be grabbing all this, how it will be grabbing it in every input. In case, what if we don't want to use email.js, that we want to be the one capturing whatever entered here and go and use it in our application directly? What do we do? How do we do that? So for us to do that, we are going to create a function that we are going to call a function right here inside the contact function. After this we are going to have a function that will be called undo constant undo on change. Undo on change. What will this function be doing? What the function will just be doing, so undo on change is equal to anonymous function. Okay, that's it. So now what will the handle on change be doing? The handle on change will be, we are going to pass the e as we do here, e, and then it's going to do what? It's going to log the whatever value you entered into the inputs. So what I'm going to do now is that I'm going to log what? E dot target, that is whatever element you target at that particular point in time, then we'll grab the value of that. Let me explain that. Seeking, for instance, if I come into this input, I should come here and say, okay, whenever they click on this, call the handle submit. Say, or maybe on change, on change. That is, whenever there's a change in the input of this value, then call the function handle on change. That's it. For I put it inside the name only. Let's see what will happen. And inside the function handle on change, we are just logging whatever you entered there. Okay, so let me see now. So if I refresh our form and go to the console, if you right click, you inspect, and then you go to the console. So let me clear what is in the console. Now, as I'm typing right here, if I say Felix, you can see it's logging everything I type. That is the work of the on change. If you want to know, if I type anything inside this subject, nothing is happening. But because the on change is not inside the subject yet, so that is why it is not doing anything for that. So we are going to do that for all the inputs. If you want to grab whatever entered into each input, that's the way to do that. So now if I go on and copy that on change and do this on change and do that, so it's just for us to see what is going on. We don't really need this scene in that. The handle on change has really nothing to do here, but yet let us put it on everything. Yes, I want to use that to grab, when we use our state, I want to use that to grab everything entered together. All right, so now this will be working for everything now. As we enter, if I come here now, let me clear this. If I type Felix subject, you can see as I'm clearing that, the time said I see subject is new application. This moment you can see it grabs everything because I did copy and paste. Email, it grabs that individually. Then out of the message, I see new application, new app. Okay, so it's grabbing everything as a whole. Now what if you now want to grab all these things as an object, everything at a time, not like just showing it one by one like this. You want to capture the entire thing. After filling out the form, they should be stored into an object. That is why we are going to need state. It is state that can do this. State can store a value, the current value, current state of an element. So that is what we want to do right now. So if you want to do that, we're going to call a state. We have already imported it, but I'm just going to make use of that under this function right here. I'll just create constant, then our state. We're going to have first details, call that details, comma, and then set details. So we're going to be having details and set details, and initially that is going to have what? Use state, and then what's going to be the current condition of our state? You remember this, that it has an initial value where we use 0 in our counter. We set it to be 0. But this time around that we are dealing with objects, what are we going to do? We are going to set all those objects. Remember here we are using name. Name is name here. Name is subject. Name is email. And then name is body. So we're going to grab all these objects in our state. So how do we do that? I'm going to come here. Remember I said it's an object, and whenever something is an object, it will be in this kind of brackets. So I will now take this down and say okay. Now let me start with email. The arrangement doesn't matter. This is an unordered, so it's going to be empty initially. That is the current state of my email. Name is also going to be empty initially. That is the initial state, comma. Then subject is also going to be empty, and then body is also going to be empty initially. That is the initial state of our state. So now from this onward, we can now start checking what is inside our state. Let us log what is inside our state now. So at this point, when you click on undo change, we need to update our state with the current state. So now how do we do that? We are going to say let me log details and see what we'll have now before we start updating the state. Okay, so now for now, because we are going to be doing some kind of texting, I'm going to comment this part that is sending to email.js. We are not sending now for now. We just want to see what is happening with whatever we do now. Okay, so now we have, so now if I say this is Johnson, you can see initially the email is empty, name is empty, subject is empty, body is empty. Now subject, if I say new this, now at this point our email is still empty, name is still empty, because we are not doing set details. We are not updating our state. That is the effect. As we are entering new things, we are not doing update of our state. You can see I entered the third one, yet my state still remains the same. So this is what I want you to understand about state, that it updates based on the current status. And how do you do that? You use the second option, which is set details. The set is the one that will update the value. So now, how do we do that now? Right here in our undo submit, before we log details, we are going to say set details to be what? Set details is a function. Is going to be set details to be, let's try this, e dot target dot value. I want to see this first. Set details dot e dot value. Let's see what happens here. Okay, now if I come here and refresh the form, now if I type something here, say Johnson, then subject, you can see that it is setting the details as what? It set it to be just, I entered new application is out this moment, and it sets my details to be Johnson. Now let me enter something for the email as well. It will set it to be subject. Why is this happening? Let me not log this again so that we'll really understand what is happening there. Okay, so now if I go back and we explain that, if I say Johnson, it is empty at this point. You can see that it's going to be doing whatever you are doing. After you do the second one, that's when it's going to update the old one. It's going to grab whatever that is here. So if I say this is this, it has updated my details to Johnson, what we have here. So if I do this, that's when it's going to update for the subject as well. So if I come here now, it has set it to be what? This. But why can't it keep things? It doesn't keep things. You know, I've entered Johnson, I've entered new applicant, and it has taken away all of that object and just set this to be this. So what we're going to do now is that we need it to keep this object. And how do we keep this object? What we are supposed to have done in this regard is by saying at this point, our details is equal to, then we will now create something like this and say name, name is what? E dot target dot value, comma, body and things like that. But we can just do something. There's something called, no, this is going to be an object just like what we have here. We are going to do something like this again. But rather than doing this, we can just destructure by, we can just use spread operator. What is spread operator? What about it? What does it do? Spread operator will convert our object or an array by just using a single variable with what? With dot dot. Rather than repeating the entire object like this again, this entire object that we were trying to type there the other time like this, from here down, rather than repeating this again and put the value, either target or value there, what I'm now going to do is that I will just say our details is what? 1, 2, 3 details. That is a spread operator. Let me put it a comment here. Say spread operator. That's what it means. So we can go ahead and read about it further. So now spread operator details. What are we doing is that, okay, grab this one and then add this to it. That's what we are doing. So we cannot give it an option at this point now. I say, okay, if you can as well, first of all, get the name. So I'm going to create this and say e dot targets dot name. You can see I have it in this bracket like this. Then column what? The value. So what is going to be storing now is that it's going to get the name, the target dot name, and then it will now put the value as the value. Okay, so why are we having errors? Okay, let me see what that is saying. It's saying it's expecting comma. No, what we are saying is give this and give this. Two errors. Okay, I think I get what is happening now. Okay, so the reason why we are having error is that everything's supposed to be an object. So you know this is a function, it's supposed to have things take. So now I'm going to put this here. Okay, right now, then the error is gone. So what we are saying now is that we are spreading whatever the object is. You can see it's showing us constant details. Email string, name string, subject string, body string. That is what we are doing. Then we are now saying, okay, we are storing what inside it, the target dot name, the name of that target, and the value. You have colon the value by storing that inside the spread operator. Okay, so now let's see what we are now going to have if I reload the page and clear here. So now if I type Felix, you can see I'm getting what is inside name right now. Then if I type my subject, I'm going to just do this so that it is going to get that. All right, let's see. Email, this is the email. So we have name, subject now, the email to, because you are pasting all this. Having been I type, if I should do something like this, let me type, okay, and then remove this, then our email is going to be completed. Then our message, time we type something into the message as well, we get what is inside. All right, so that is how we store our item into an object by doing this. You can see the body is this, email is this, Felix, and then subject is this. All right, then now we can now, when you now click send, it's going to send this to the email.js. Okay, so we've been able to log this. Then we can now enable this tag. It has nothing to do with what we are doing. So rather than just to log that, okay, so here I'm going to, rather than just to send the message, I'm going to bring that back. Then after it, normally when we send the report, when we send the message, then we need to clear the form. So I'm going to say e dot target dot reset, e dot target dot reset. See function. Okay, so after sending, it's going to send it to this, and then it's going to log the results. If there is error, it's going to log the error, and then reset our form of whatever we have entered. All right, let's see now. If I should refresh this right now, okay, that's fine. Then clear the console. So then I can start typing things. This is Johnson. This is my subject. This is my email. Use another email this time around, and my message still remain my message. I think I type one long message the other time. Okay, let me use this. Take notes. Okay, so now if I clear this, you have cleared. At this point, we are sending the mail now. Okay, so do we log whatever the result is? We log that, and if there's any error, we log that as well. Okay, so now let me go back and clear what is here so that I can see whatever the response coming from that. I click on send, then I get what? Okay, that is it. So which means it is sent successfully. If I check my email, you can see one email has dropped right there. Okay, so now you can see new message from Johnson. When you open that, yes, you will see the message. Now you need to be careful of message you send so that you won't get this kind of message. Some of these are means though it's inside my inbox, so it's not as if it is a spam, but it will just give a warning if what you are sending depends on the content of the message. All right, so that is that on this contact for our application. And if you want to add some other content right here, those ones doesn't really require any thing based on what we have done so far. You just create something, or possibly to divide your interface into two. Maybe this section name here, I can just have a div right here. The div will just have a class of row, and then there will be another one after it that we have a class of column. Then I can say it is column 6. So this form will take 6. The entire window interface is 12 based on Bootstrap, 12 columns. So I'm going to close the two divs here. I'm going to close close div, then also close div. That is what is breaking our application. So then this is the div with the column of 6 that we created up here. Div column 6 is the first one that we close here. So after it, we're going to have another div with column 6. Okay, so this particular div, you can put some things about contact info. So it's going to have column 6. So let's see what our form will look like now. Okay, you can see. So this is like we have divided our screen into two. One part is for the form where you fill in this and send to us, and then we can now put other contact information right here, maybe our phone number, our emails, and some other things like that. And then we need a space. This is too close to the menu, so we can come right here in the section right up there, and here put empty should be margin top 5. Let me see, and that is it. It has given space. All right, thank you very much. See you in our next lesson. Thank you.